Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Welcome to our weekly conversation about the Torah. Special shout out this morning to Ken Berman, who faithfully continues to join our community week after week, even as he recovers from serious surgery. And to Rick in LA, who will be augmenting his conversion to Judaism program by studying with us. Welcome. And a really big shout out to all of you who regularly help expand the reach of this conversation by hitting share. Things are going very well. Thanks. Several days ago, I happened to be chatting with a very serious Hebrew linguist. He heard me referring to the name of our Sedra as Toldot, and he corrected me quite emphatically. Grammatically, the name should be pronounced, he said, Toldot. He pulled out a vocalized text and showed me the shvana, that grammatical marking that proves him to be correct. I have never in my life said Toldot. So I asked him how many other people in the world care about this tiny grammatical nuance. Maybe just me and a few others, he responded. So I have decided to remain among the comfortably incorrect. And I really like that. I am among the comfortably incorrect. Our Sedra is Toldot. Genesis 25, verse 19 and following. So we again turn to Torah as a means of drowning out some of the contentiousness surrounding us on a daily basis. And instead, getting away from all that outside trouble, we find ourselves immersed in an awesome display of family dysfunction. As many of you know, the patriarchs and matriarchs of our people could have used some really intensive family therapy. Somehow, in that dysfunction, their stories still ring out so very true to us that we often see reflections of them in our own lives. Their dysfunction somehow parallels ours. Hopefully none of us has actually sold a sibling into slavery, but I think you understand what I mean. So, Jacob and Esau, twins, born of Rebekah and Isaac. The pregnancy was difficult, very difficult. As the commentator Nachmanides read our text, he believed that at times the stress of this pregnancy was so difficult that Rebekah was forced to cry out in pain, "What good is life itself if I have to suffer so much?" It was like Rebekah's womb was a battlefield between the two fetuses. The brothers were pushing and shoving each other in mortal conflict from the instant of conception. We know that the book of Genesis is an extended effort to create the prehistory of the Jewish people, setting the table, if you will, before the slavery in Egypt and the Exodus that will follow. So this is the prehistory. We have already learned through the Genesis text that all of humanity descends from a single set of parents, that the first generations after creation were a failed experiment, so that God had to start all over again with Noah. But then after 10 generations following Noah, God gave up again trying to embrace a single humanity and decided to utilize the descendants of Abraham to be the bearers of the divine message. What God really wants in Genesis is not to fail for a third time. But a big question yet remains. How do we explain the endless hatred between the descendants of Abraham and all the rest of humanity? The answer is asserted to be here in our Sedra. It all begins with twin brothers, and it grows to stain all of human history. Jacob will forever represent to the rabbis the true heir of God's promises to Abraham, while his twin brother Esau becomes the embodiment of evil, the antithesis of all those promises. Two characters, each embodying a divergent set of values, and the bearers of those two sets of values are doomed to be in eternal conflict. Light, darkness, good, evil, two chains of descendants. One, those who will be bearers of Torah. The others, those who will burn and uproot Torah. One, carrying the future seed of the Messiah, and one, carrying the future seed of hated Edom and Rome and the Crusaders and the pogromists and even the Nazis. One who would find solace in the synagogue and in the study house, and the other who would find pleasure in burning the synagogue and the study house. One representing the infinite joys of spiritual growth, and one celebrating the pleasures of the flesh. One that would forever be us, and one that would forever be the other. Jacob and Esau. At one level, they were just the soon-to-be-born twins of Rebekah and Isaac. Jacob and Esau. At another level, they were literary figures, creations, whom the medieval rabbis would come to view as avatars, as incarnations of what they understood to be the twin aspects of human personality. They would teach, we are all bearers of both Jacob and Esau. They struggle within us as the twins struggled within Rebekah. Eternal conflict, awaiting the ultimate resolution which comes about with the arrival of the Messiah. Now, Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch saw the twins as representing not only the internal struggle going on within every human being, but also, quote, two separate ideologies that will leave their imprint on history. Two separate ideologies. Hirsch saw human history in general and Jewish history in particular as filled with a conflict that will scar humanity until the day when history itself comes to an end. A grim, daunting, dismaying view of both human psychology and world history. I suspect that our rabbinic forebears, the commentators and philosophers and theologians and ethicists, all of them might have considered this binary approach to reality quite positive. Why not? It all ends up with the Messiah. And when the Messiah comes, Jacob wins. When the Messiah comes, Esau loses. We win. It's all part of God's plan for us. So even though all of human history is filled with conflict, we'll win. That day will be like the World Series and the Super Bowl and the FIFA World Cup wrapped up as one, affirming how right we have always been. Yay for our side. But what a crippling worldview that struggle between Jacob and Esau can be if we don't hold on to the dream of an actual Messiah coming someday to declare our victory. Is life really a zero-sum game in which either our side destroys the other side or that other side destroys us? I can't prove that what I'm about to assert is correct, and no one can prove that what I am about to assert is wrong. But I don't experience life as winning and losing, between winners and losers. For me, life is an endless effort to discover meaning in what we do and in who we are. So, to use the other language, in that struggle, if we find love, we win. If we find work that is meaningful and fulfilling, we win. If we find a community within which we discover both friends and companions, we win. If we open ourselves up to the transcendence found in experiencing art and music and sunsets and ocean waves and silent forests and rushing streams and stark deserts and soaring eagles, if we experience that transcendence, then we win. No one has to lose. We win. Are there Esau's out there waiting to destroy us? Yes, most definitely. Are there Jacobs out there seeking to heal and to uplift? Yes, most definitely. But we shouldn't allow them and their conflict to define our lives, to limit our dreams, to shape our aspirations, to sketch out what would come to be our inevitable futures. We don't need a Messiah to make life tolerable. We don't need a Messiah to give meaning to our days. We don't need a Messiah to call us to view all of life as an eternal conflict between good and evil. We just need to be in touch with who we are and whom we might someday become, and to build from there. Who we are, whom we might become, and to build from there. Okay, that's it for this week. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Be comfortable about being incorrect at times. And please, hit share. Shabbat Shalom.